Next up, Dr. Carl Jirgens, a member of faculty and past head of English Language, Literature, and Creative Writing here at the University of Windsor. And the title of Carl's talk today is Living Death, Discovering Your Inner Zombie. Take it away, Carl.
Thanks. Is this one on? Yeah, okay. So today I wore my Grateful Dead t-shirt because I didn't have time to get makeup on, but I hope you appreciate it. Thanks to Lydia Miljan, who did so much to organize this conference, and to Blake Roberts for chairing this session. The proceedings, I think, of this conference are, to a degree, pataphysical. Pataphysics is the imaginary science of impossible solutions, so some of what we speak of today is hypothetical. Nonetheless, to illuminate the zombie myth or apocalypse, one can turn to zombie cultural history and the zombie as an allegory for enslavement under oppressive global socio-political structures. The word apocalypse is an ancient Greek term indicating a lifting of a veil, a revelation, even an enlightenment. The revelation of St. John speaks of the triumph of good over evil. In secular terms, an apocalypse indicates the end of the world as we know it, but such an ending or new beginning can come on a personal level as well. The creatures we call zombies combine life in death possibilities, embodying human fears of mortality and mutilation, as well as hopes of resurrection and immortality. Ethnoanthropologists have discovered that Haitian Vodou, founded in African spiritual practices, deploys neurotoxins to create zombies. On the other hand, pop cultural zombies are mythic creatures revealing a peculiar neurophysiology, unthinking drive for sustenance, and violent aggression. Such zombies signify our own sociopathic, self-destructive, even suicidal potential. A common factor in Haitian Vodou and pop cultural zombies is loss of free will. Psychologically speaking, all zombies represent outward projections of our inner anxieties in the form of malevolent double selves or others. Yet these projections originate within our own minds. Upon recognizing that inner anxiety and external other are one, a transformative revelation is possible. The zombie apocalypse is so external and internal, and it's up to each individual to recognize their own inner zombie. Pop cultural television programs such as The Walking Dead and films such as White Zombie, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Planet Terror, Shaun of the Dead, The Evil Dead, and World War Z, Canadian pronunciation, envision unleashing of death and hell upon the world. The breaking of the fourth seal in the book of Revelation released beasts by death and hunger. Zombies, driven by insatiable hunger, seek human flesh. Any pop cultural zombie apocalypse involves the agencies of Eros, the life principle, and Thanatos, the death principle, plus a condition of enantiodromia, which is what happens when things turn into their opposites. Living humans become the walking dead, and when humans as agents of Eros, or life, kill zombies who were once human, those killers switch into a thanatonic or death function. A zombie apocalypse involves physical and psychological stress. Can the murder of a once human, now beast-like zombie be justified, even in self-defense? The question is complicated by the commandment, thou shalt not kill, and whether zombies are alive or dead. What if, by taking a pacifist stance, one is converted into a zombie who destroys former friends? And what exactly dies when one destroys a zombie? By killing former humans, now zombies, we symbolically kill part of ourselves, at least psychologically. Thus, the zombie apocalypse is external and physical, as well as internal psychological. Moral questions abound. Some answers to such questions might arise by examining the origins of zombies. Phyllis Galembo, in her study, Voodoo, Visions and Voices of Haiti, explains that Haitian Vodou resulted from the fusion of rituals and cultural practices of African ethnic groups, including the Fon, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Ewe, Congo, and Tomagine, and that Haitian Vodou absorbed Catholic icons into its rituals. Elizabeth McAllister connects the rise of Voodoo to resistance against slavery and cultural genocide under imperial rule soon after the arrival of Columbus. Some 60,000 people were eradicated on the island of Haiti shortly after the arrival of Columbus. They were all indigenous. The connection between megadeaths, slavery, and oppression of spiritual values resonates throughout zombie culture. In the ethnobiology of Haitian zombies, Wade Davis explains that a marine fish of the order Tetraodontiformes contain a potent neurotoxin used to induce zombie states. But, acknowledging his own Eurocentric cultural bias, Davis concludes that pharmacology is only one small part of zombieism and voodoo practice. Like Galembo and McAllister, Davis acknowledges sociopolitical forces shaping Haitian voodoo and zombie culture, including the rise of the Tonton Macoute. If you don't know what the Tonton Macoute means, it's the boogeyman that puts a bag over your head and runs away with you, okay? So you need to know that. And they were a paramilitary group serving the dictators of Haiti, including Francois Papadoc Duvalier and his son Baby Doc Duvalier, committing systemic human rights violations, kidnapping and or murder of the Duvalier opponents, often leaving bodies in public as an intimidation. So both traditional zombies and pop cultural representations allude to social oppression. However, all zombies lose free will and are controlled by another power. Pop cultural versions of zombies break taboos, including desecration of grave sites, murder, and cannibalism. Recalling the book of Revelation, zombies bring an insatiable hunger, hell on earth, and beastly death. Mythically speaking, zombies are a parody of angels. Like angels, they live an afterlife. They are not subject to time. Even without sustenance, they can exist indefinitely. But unlike the angelic hierarchy, which includes cherubim, seraphim, and archangels, zombies are egalitarian. And male and female zombies hold equal status. As parodies of angels, zombies pursue flesh, but angels pursue spiritual matters. Angels suggest hope, but zombies behave nihilistically. Now, it would be incorrect to call a zombie a nihilist because that implies reasoning ability. But as paranihilists, zombies display no belief structures, loyalties, emotions, reason, or purpose other than eating flesh. In some pop cultural versions, the preferred food of zombies is the human brain, which is the seat of reason, which contains belief and emotion. Ironic. Pop cultural zombies live in the moment, an eternal present, without awareness of past or future. Both traditional Haitian zombies and pop cultural zombies allegorically challenge socio-cultural and socio-political and cultural conditions wherein a populace is turned into mindless, robot-like automatons enslaved by another power. In his article, Adorno, Zizek, and the Zombie, representing mortality in the age of mass killing, scholar Gary Mullen states that the zombie is a fitting representation of our sense of vulnerability under intolerable socio-political conditions. Mullen cross-references people enslaved in Nazi death camps, the Musulmaner, and argues that zombies represent the conditions of post-industrial society founded on an insatiable hunger for wealth and power. In This Is Man, Primo Levi defines the Musulmaner or Nazi concentration camp victims as follows. One hesitates to call them living. One hesitates to call their death, death, in the face of which they have no fear, as they are too tired to understand. There are parallels between the plight of the Musulmaner, zombies, robotniks, and others enslaved as automatons, including Russian Siberian Gulag victims, all of which point to a socio-political hunger rising from what Nietzsche called a will to power. Such views are echoed by Václav Havel, writer-dissident, first president of the Czech Republic, who attacked totalitarianism's creation of robot-like servitude while eradicating free will. The word robot is derived from the Czech for forced labor or serf. The term robot was coined by Karel Čapek in his 1920 play Rossum's Universal Robots, in which human slaves rebel against oppressive masters. Havel attacks the euphemistic rhetoric of oppression in his book Living in Truth. Quote, "The system is so thoroughly permeated with hypocrisy and lies, government by bureaucracy is called popular government. The working class is enslaved in the name of the working class. The complete degradation of the individual is presented as his or her ultimate liberation. Depriving people of information is called making it available. The use of power to manipulate is called the public control of power. The arbitrary abuse of power is called observing the legal code. The repression of culture is called its development. The expansion of imperial influence is presented as support for the oppressed. The lack of free expression becomes the highest form of freedom. Farcical elections become the highest form of democracy." This should resonate today. Banning independent thought becomes the most scientific of worldviews. Military occupation becomes fraternal assistance. Sounds a little bit like George Carlin. Because the regime is captive to its own lies, it must falsify everything. Havel speaks of a living hell and the potential power of the powerless. Zombies inspire fear, but in a mythic sense are external symbols of a troubled psyche, inner psyche, forced labor, enslavement, and under some greater power. Such enslavement can be illuminated by Nietzsche's notion of what lies beyond good and evil. As mindless automatons, pop cultural zombies have no imagination, no self-assertion, or sense of self-preservation. They have no preferences for gender, sexual, or otherwise, no racial prejudice. Zombies will devour anybody. They have no originality, values, or sense of humor, no money, taxes, or cell phones. It sounds fairly liberating. But also no free will, self-consciousness, or friendships, except in satirical pop cultural movies such as Shaun of the Dead, where one of the protagonists becomes a zombie and is kept like a family pet. Correlative to nihilism, which rejects all religious and moral principles while embracing the meaninglessness of life, zombies are without desire or hope, allegorizing humans who have lost free will and are enslaved in a hell-like world defined by an insatiable hunger, not for human flesh. I'm on time. But for wealth and materiality. The Voodoo Boko has been displaced by power brokers whose hunger is that of mammon, the demon of covetousness. The 2016 Oxfam Davis report, An Economy for the 1%, states that the wealth of the poorest half of the world's population has fallen by $1 trillion since 2010, a drop of 38% in spite of the fact that the global population increased by 400 million. Half of the planet's wealth is held by 62 people, of whom only 9 are women. Arguably, a portion of the world's populace is held captive by the power-brokering one-percenters who adopt the role of voodoo savants by enslaving others into serving their will. As such, the zombie myth resonates profoundly within our post-industrial society. This is not to say we're all zombies, but the popularity of pop cultural zombie myth points to an intolerable human condition. The key parallels in this allegory involve lack of free will, inability to override those who control us, and reluctant but tacit acceptance of such conditions. One way to escape this living hell and reclaim freedom of free will is by challenging the power broker systems, but one must first confront one's inner zombie or demonic other. In her study, Strangers to Ourselves, Julia Kristeva explains how we project desires and anxieties outwardly onto our other. Symbolically speaking, zombies are projected others that embody what Freud called the death drive, which overwhelms the eros or life principle. The externalized projection of this dangerous double or uncanny and demoniacal other is symptomatic of deep psychic anxiety. If recalling that the zombie is the site upon which anxieties are projected from within the self, then logically self and other, or self and zombie, are really one. The fact that so many people identify with zombies raises concern and hope. In recognizing the unity of self and zombies as other, one gains the key to revelation and resolution. The zombie myth as externalization of a deep-rooted psychological anxiety also indicates that we have yet to encounter our anti-zombie, a benevolent double who also resides within our psyche. The zombie as myth is a signifier pointing to its own opposite, marking an important step towards revelation, enlightenment, and release from enslavement. In her article, Zombie Apocalypse, a Symbol of Collective Transformation, Jungian scholar Jenna Lilla identifies zombie characteristics akin to Carl Jung's notion of the shadow, an aspect of the psyche which partly corresponds with Freud's id, Kristeva's malevolent double, and Lacan's other. The shadow constitutes the repressed, malevolent, or sociopathic aspects of the psyche. Related literary expressions of the shadow include Dr. Jekyll, benevolent, and Mr. Hyde, malevolent. Lilla explains that zombies experience drive without instinct, desire without meaning. Both indicate a mindless pursuit of unworthy or pointless goals. But if one recognizes the interconnectivity of apparent binarisms such as good-evil, zombie-angel, desire-anxiety, eros thanatos, malevolent-benevolent, self-other, then the zombie myth serves as a signpost pointing to its opposite, a being of benevolence whose primary interest is human redemption. Buddhist views suggest that if you recognize there is no differentiation between self and others, then you achieve the enlightenment or revelation necessary to liberate yourself while freeing your own inner anti-zombie. So an apocalyptic revelation begins internally when one drops attachment and achieves awareness of the interconnectivity of all humans on earth. There's great potential in achieving such a revelation because there's a little zombie like other in all of us, and it has a benevolent counterpart. So to survive or even benefit from a zombie apocalypse, one must first confront one's own inner zombie, and there's a little zombie in all of us. It remains to consider Nietzsche's notion of the will to power, which motivates the voodoo savants or the 1% power brokers who control so many lives, but I must stop now because I hear my inner zombie scratching at the door trying to get back in. It's a cruel world out there. Thank you.